Here now with more on this important study is another of the lead researchers, Dr. Deb Van Overbeck, Assistant Dean for Academic Programs and Professor of Meat Science at Oklahoma State University. And I understand you're also on the BQA Advisory Committee,
Correct.
Is that right?
That is correct.
Thanks for coming and sharing some of your insights with us.
My pleasure.
Let's talk a little bit about the strategy portion of this project. Tell us who was involved and what was the work that you all did as a strategy team?
So the strategy workshop is what we've commonly known as phase 3 of the audit, and it really brings together all our industry players. So producers, packers, retail, food service, government agencies, as well as members of the BQA Advisory Board to look at results of phase 1 and phase 2 and to figure out what's that blueprint or what's that plan and the guide for the next 5 years for beef producers.
So tell us, what were some of the positives or some of the strengths that you identified?
You know, one of the biggest strengths is just looking historically since 1991 in that 25 years that we've been doing the audit is that we've made a lot of improvements in a lot of areas. There's obviously places that we can still improve, but one of those big things that we've made some improvement in, even in the last 5 years, is in quality grade and the lost opportunity from quality grade and meeting that goal for the industry, and we've made improvement in that simply 5 years ago and from in the 25-year spectrum.
That's great news, and as always, there's always room for improvement. What were some of those areas that you identified in this year's study? So
one of the things we do try to do in that strategy workshop is to identify what are the main strategies or goals that we can have, what are those areas for focused improvement. And so this year we identified as a group 3 target areas that we can look at, and those are food safety and animal health, eating satisfaction and reducing variability in product, and then optimizing value and reducing waste. And there's obviously some tactics that go along with those. Some of those are just increasing communication and those types of things. But those are our big 3 target areas that we're going to look at for the next 5 years.
And that's what I was going to ask you. How does this group collaborate on really figuring out, okay, these are areas we need to improve. Now, what are the strategies and tactics that we can implement to actually make progress?
Absolutely. When we look at phase 1 and phase 2 and try to summarize that, you heard Dr. Belk talk about earlier some of the things from phase 1, and one of them being communication and the lack of understanding about beef quality assurance, for example. So one of those key tactics is to increase communication among sectors and between sectors, from producer to end user, and even to consumer to, for example, understand what beef quality assurance is, and getting that buy-in from a producer level of figuring out what is the reward for implementing and practicing beef quality assurance, for example. So if we do that and open up those lines of communication, we also have clearer market signals to producers on what we need to produce.
Yeah. Well, it sure sounds like we've made some progress, but as always, there's still gains that can be made. Thank you so much for coming and sharing those insights.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Now, if you'd like to read the entire study for yourself, you can find the complete summary online at bqa.org.